alive in that brutal aghast of terrorist attack done by terrorist led by Kasab. And please mark, see the beauty of the Indian Constitution. Even Kasab was given free legal aid under our constitutional philosophy. That happens to be the beauty of this pious document. Now coming to the next thing, let me add over here a very anecdote, and that was made by Nobel laureate Niels Bohr, a noted physicist. Once he was asked by a visitor to his house, after noticing a horseshoe, घोड़े की नाल होती है ना, तो a visitor was going to visit him and he could notice a horseshoe at the entrance of his house. And visitor asked, "You professor, you really believed that this particular horseshoe brought good luck to you?" Professor Neil Bohr replied, "Not at all, not at all. But my Indian friend said that this work even for those who do not believe in it." So Indian Constitution even work for those who do not believe, including Kasab. So in this particular concept, coming to this particular agenda, in lieu of this particular thing, our Indian Constitution accept nothing from us except one single most article, that is Article 51A, that has been reflected over here by the direction of our worthy Vice Chancellor. This is the only article, and please mark, this is not also enforceable. Also, it got inserted in the Constitution after 26 years later than its conception. That is in 1976 White 42nd Amendment. Except this, there is nothing expected from the Constitution, and we expected each and everything, every security, say for justice, equality, fraternity, and liberty from the Constitution. Here, we need to understand, right can be enforced. There is no as such sanction behind duties. If there is no as such sanction behind duties, what we need to do? What we need to do? Can we make we the people of India to enforce their fundamental duties? No, because it's a matter of self-realization, self-introspection. And let me steal the moment with your prior permission by citing over here a very, very small story. I'm not going to take much of your time. I will shut my mouth in between. Small story was relating to great Guru Paramhansa, Guru of I would say, visionary leader in the form of Vivekananda. He was a guru of Vivekananda. Once, there upon a time, a lady used to live with her only grandson. And that grandson was very fond of jaggery, eating jaggery. He was very fond of eating jaggery to the extent that he could develop a very bad habit of eating jaggery in excess. And this was to the extent that poor lady neither could afford nor it was good for the health of that poor child. And she did all her efforts, but all went in vain. And she was fed up. And she was told by many that why don't you approach to a guru who is famous for his counseling? Even he is having panacea for all kind of diseases, including cancer doses. Ultimately, having left with no as such option, she approached one day to Paramhansa, Ramakrishna, and she shared her all grievances and concern about that poor child. Ramakrishna Paramhansa gave her patience hearing, and he said that, could you please visit me after some time, say 6 months later? Okay, having left with same, nothing option was left with that poor lady. She again visited Paramhansa after a period of 6 months. Now this time, within no time, Paramhansa could succeed in getting that particular child get rid out of that particular eating jaggery, bad habit, within no time. And he got convinced. And by seeing this, by observing this, poor lady, at spur of the moment, she started, staring to the guru. And she said, "What the hell you are doing? If this was just a 5-minute affair for you, why you made me to wait for such a long time, say 6 months?" Again, Paramahansa gave her patience hearing. And he replied, he said, "Ma, how could I? How could I help you out at that time when even I was suffering from the same bad habit? It took me 6 months to get rid out of that particular habit, so as to enable me to do justice with the task of counseling. So at that time, I was not supposed to, because I myself was suffering from the problem." So it is a matter of duty. Unless and until we are not performing our own duty, we have no ethical and moral rights to claim for our rights. So in this particular background, I would say, unless and until we are not performing our duty, that's why this is the theme. That's why this is a deliberation we are trying to have. And in this particular theme, none other than we are having Dr. Pankaj. He's a director or Center of Research and Planning. I know, sir, that you are occupied with your densely occupied schedule in the Supreme Court under the able and sagacious leadership of our worthy Mr. Justice N.V. Ramanna, Honorable Chief Justice of India. But none other than you suitors, because you, let me share with you guys that Dr. Pankaj happens to be the youngest one to join in the Haryana Higher Judiciary at the very young age of 35. And he's the one who has, to his credit, of awarding the highest number of, tackling the highest number of session trial throughout India. He's the one to whom I would say he's the epitome of that particular glaring example for us, that he used to travel, he used to commute from his office to the Hisar court, if I'm not wrong, by cycle, when he used to be there in Hisar. Now, I know, I'm well aware of the fact that you have been contributing, sir has been contributing to the nation building by giving all kind of inputs in the Supreme Court in the capacity of Director of Center for Research and Planning. So with this word, I would like to welcome you, sir, and for the same, I would request you, rather prior to the same, may I request worthy registrar, please, ma'am, in view of the paucity of the time, I would steal and I would apologize from the audience that let me briefly introduce, as I have already. So Dr. Pankaj is in our midst, and I would request Dr. Pankaj for his words of wisdom. Please.
Hello everybody. Today, on the occasion of Constitutional Day, firstly, I will thank to Pradeep to get such introduction about me. Even I am not able to introduce in such a manner to myself. I am beholden to Professor Tankeshwar Kumar, Vice Chancellor of Central University, Haryana, Professor Sunita Srivastava, Mrs. Vice Chancellor, Professor Sanjeev, Dean Academics, Professor Sarika Sharma, Registrar, Professor Dinesh Gupta, Dean Students Welfare, non-teaching staff, ladies and gentlemen, and the students' roses of the day. It is privilege for me as well as coincident that has discussed about Shri Moolchand Sharma, who was the Vice Chancellor of that university and also happened to be the director of this center. He was, I think, the first director, if I am not wrong, at the time of Justice Bhagwati in the Supreme Court of India. Today's topic of discussion is constitutionalism and fundamental duties. I will start with the remarks of Mahatma Gandhi that no people have risen who thought only of the rights. Only those did so who thought of duties. The importance of duties cannot be ignored, denied at all in the life of Indian citizens. Our culture, our background specifically denotes the duties. Rights come thereafter. Now coming to the constitutionalism. Professor McLean has defined constitutionalism as a legal limitation on the government. It is the antithesis of the arbitrariness. There must not be arbitrary rule. Fundamentally, the constitutionalism is based on two correlative elements. First, I think, is the limits on the arbitrary power. And second, which is the important one, is the complete political responsibility of the government towards the governed. This is the second element of constitutionalism. I will like to explain it. It is pertinent that any state is characterized by the principle of constitutionalism would be most likely to fulfill its obligation of ensuring the well-being of the citizens, which is the primary justification for the existence of a state. The reason of the existence of the state, we all know, is the welfare, well-being of the citizens. Constitutionalism, therefore, having twofold aspects. One, about limits, and second, about aspirations. Our constitution embodies the aspirations as discussed by Dr. Pradeep, inclusive of social justice, brotherhood, and human dignity. And constitutionalism is an ideal binding the state has to accomplish the above aspirations. Apex Court, in a case of state and city of Delhi versus Union of India, has made observation that the constitutional functionaries owe a greater degree of responsibility towards this eloquent instrument, or it is from this document that they derive their power and authority. And as a natural corollary, they must ensure that they cultivate and develop a spirit of constitutionalism, where every action taken by them is governed by and must be in strict conformity with the basic tenets of the Constitution. In another case of Navtej Singh, Honorable Apex Court has observed that constitutionalism is the modern political equivalent to the Raj Dharma, the ancient Hindu concept that integrates religion, religion, duty, responsibility, and law. Therefore, I can say that basically the emphasis of constitutionalism is also upon the duties of various organs and functionaries of the state to achieve the constitutional aspirations and to fulfill the constitutional expectations of the framers of the constitution. The aspirations of any constitution must be to achieve the ideals of transformative constitutionalism. Now, transformative constitutionalism, it not only includes within wide periphery the recognition of the rights and dignities of the individuals only, but also includes and propagates the development of an atmosphere by the government wherein every individual is bestowed with adequate opportunities to develop as well as participate socially, economically, and politically. Now, it is the duty because our today's topic is constitutionalism and fundamental duties. Now, coming prior to the fundamental duties, my emphasis is on that the government is duty bound to create such an atmosphere where we can achieve the aspirations of the constitution. Now, fundamental duties. India is having the most diverse set of population as its citizenry class. And if all the existing strata strive towards performing their individual functions in their social structure without any contradiction, the true essence of constitutionalism would surely and naturally be achieved. Therefore, it is important to discuss the various ways in which the citizens are expected to participate and perform their shares of duties towards the progress of our great nation. Fundamental duties of the citizens were added to Constitution by 42nd Amendment in 1976 upon the recommendation of Swaran Singh Committee. The committee suggested the steps needed to be taken to ensure that individual did not overlook his duties while exercising the fundamental rights guaranteed and provided by our constitution. Initially, there were 10 fundamental duties, and by way of 86th constitutional amendment in 2002, now it has become duties are essentially taken from the Indian tradition, mythology, religions, and practices. In the ancient texts, these have been described as the duties or tasks of the citizens which were integral to the human way of life. Basically, it was in the ancient era our part of life. Fundamental duties are intended as a constant reminder to every citizen that while the Constitution specifically conferred on them certain fundamental rights, it also requires citizens to observe certain basic norms of democratic conduct and democratic behavior. Rights and duties are correlative and coextensive, exist together. No doubt, the fundamental duties are not enforceable, but it is the expectation of our constitution, it is the expectation of this democratic setup that prior to invoke our fundamental rights, we should observe and follow certain fundamental duties so that there will be no requirement to ask for fundamental rights, because our fundamental duties are the fundamental rights somewhere else of anybody. Fundamental, we, the Indians, can claim with great pride that our constitution makers, with greatest foresight and vision, have incorporated the principle of constitutionalism in our constitution throughout the scheme of our constitution with extreme care and fortitude. Let us make sure that we never deviate from that great path leading towards an inclusive and equal society that has to be aspired by our founding fathers. Each one of us should abide by all the responsibilities that have been mandated to be our fundamental duties by our constitution. I will conclude with the remarks of Mahatma Gandhi again. The true source of rights is the duty. If we all discharge our duties, right will not be far to seek. If leaving duties unperformed, we run after rights. They will escape us like will-o-wisps. The more we pursue them, the further they fly. Fundamentally, right is nothing but the duty well performed by us. In last, I am thankful to all the present audience to have patience hearing, and I am also thankful to Dr. Pradeep, Assistant Professor, to pursue all this and manage in a calm and playful manner. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your enlightening and informative lecture, and specifically emphasizing on the fundamental duties. And very rightly, sir has pointed out that fundamental rights and fundamental duties run hand in hand for an inclusive society. So thanks a lot, sir. And now I would like to invite the head of our family, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Tankeshwar Kumar, for his words of wisdom for enlightening us, sir, please.
First of all, I congratulate my colleague Dr. Pradeep for organizing this event. And I also thank Dr. Pankaj, who has agreed to deliver a lecture on very important topic on today's event. And you know, you have already listened to the great people, including the Prime Minister of India, President of India. And today we have chosen this day. Let us, put emphasis on the fundamental duties. Right? As the saying that we have so many court cases pending, sometimes I feel that we are not aware of fundamental duties. Right? If all of us follows our this fundamental duties, I think we will be able to reduce these cases also. Because if my job and your job are for the same purpose, then where we will have the conflict? We will not. Right? So we should first of all to understand what are our duties. This is the maybe the fifth or sixth, maybe the seventh, I don't know. When I am celebrating this event as a constitutional day as a vice chancellor, but this is for the first time that I am involving the lawyers or legal experts. You know, what I mean is this constitution book is not for lawyers. It is for everyone. This is for everyone. And it is everyone means it is a, I will say somebody wrote it is a vehicle for life. If you are to live, you know how we live. Will everybody understand the things every year. For the child is born, by 10th, I will say by I will say 10th or 11th year, he has understood the things for the 10 times year. Every year you celebrate some event, celebrate something, the changes are there, you have the seasons are there, So every 10th or 11th years we see the things, right? So that's the way also the life moves. So life moves with the laws, right? I'm physics students, so we say the motion, law of motion, right? So when we move, we follow the laws, right? The same way the life moves with the law, right? So that way we should also understand the basic of the things in the very early age, right? So what I mean is that when we say we have the education, so what is the if I say somebody asks me what is the deficiencies in our education system and what are the Indian culture, I'll say that we are not having the values attached to the education system. We're not, for example, if we have all these rights and the constitution, we're not knowing about the fundamental duties, right? So I think that we should see that our students, we as a teacher here, how our students can come to know about these fundamental duties, right? So for fundamental duties, if you, I don't know how many of us has actually read all the fundamental duties. So that's why I thought that it should be placed, right? It should be placed. And I say that every education class, I will say when we say we have induction program, we must give them the copy of the fundamental duties to everyone. Now giving a copy is just putting it on the WhatsApp, but it is important that if we may ask them some questions also in maybe in their whenever we conduct the entrance test or something like that. The fundamental duties are very important, but that because where I feel that's I feel that we can unite the country, right? That is I feel, because we can unite the country, because if we see that as I said, if we have all the same duties, we will be more closer to each other, we will be with the less conflict, and we will be moving in a cohesion. So that's why I feel that we should stress on the fundamental duty, and it is very surprisingly that even the Prime Minister today also stressed on the same thing. And so the Central Universities thing is also coinciding with what our Prime Minister has done today. And so we are to really see that how we can make our students to know about all these fundamental duties, and if they follow it, I think throughout the life, then everybody in the country follows it, then the nation will be, I think, slightly different than what it is today. With these words, I once again congratulate all those who have attended this program, and obviously those who have organized it, and really appreciate this is a wonderful event. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your words of wisdom, and I really hope that our students will be totally benefited with these words. Now, for the formal vote of thanks, I would like to invite our Honorable DSW, Professor Dinesh Gupta.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Madam Sunita Srivastav, Professor Sunita Srivastav ji, Registrar Professor Sarika ji, all the deans available here, all the heads of the departments, faculty members, our guest speaker today, Dr. Pankaj ji, and all the students. It's an honor for me to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries present here, starting from our guest speaker, Dr. Pankaj ji, the Director, Center for Planning and Research, Supreme Court of India, who shared his wisdom with us about the fundamentalism and duties. And he very simply defined the duties and relate the kind of recognition one gets out of duties rather than attaining rights. So thank you very much, sir, for your kind words, and you could spare time for us for this important day and encouraged us by your wisdom. Thank you. I also extend heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, who could spare time. He's with us since 10 o'clock, and he's always encourages us for such kind of good works, and we really appreciate, especially the message transferring about the duties among the students. Sir, surely we will circulate the duties, constitutional duties among students while conducting induction program. We are also thankful to Madam Professor Sunita Srivastav ji, who could spare time since morning, and she is with us during all the program. We also extend our thankfulness to our registrar, Professor Sarika Sharma ji, who is supporting all the way administrative affairs, because organizing such programs need a lot of administrative approvals and all. So thank you, madam, for all the supports you provided to the committee. We are also thankful to all the deans of the schools, head of the departments, all the administrative officers, controller of examination, finance officer, and other administrative officers, staff, faculty members who are present here and who grace this occasion with their valuable presence. We are also thankful to the organizing committee, because the efforts they are putting since last, I think, during 1 week, and they have organized the program so well since morning. And at the last, all the technical team, the E and GA unit of the university, who organized all the necessary support for successful of this program. So I thank you all for being with us, and hope such support we will continue to get in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you everyone for your support and your cooperation. Thank you. Thanks a lot.